Hello, hello. This is Newbies to Movies. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Justin.
And this week we are talking about anime movies, something out of my own comfort zone personally, as I don't really watch a bunch of anime type of style of movies or shows, but it was interesting to go down that pathway. First, we'll start off with just how we do every week, something that we want to shout out that we saw. Justin, do you want to start?
Yeah. So, with the 2025 coming to an end, I watched a couple movies this week. So I watched F1, which I thought was pretty great. I really enjoyed that one. Obviously, it's racing and a lot of sport in the movie, but I think it had a good plot and a good cast to, kind of carry that plot forward. I also watched The Ballad of Wallace Island, which I think you had in your top 5 last week.
Yeah.
That was really good. Kind of like a cute family story. I enjoyed watching that. And then I also watched Weapons, which I know you were a big fan of this year.
Yeah.
Last year, I guess. But I enjoyed it. It's not my kind of category, but it was definitely a pretty decent plot to carry along with the horror, which I thought was good.
Yeah. And a different way to tell a story too. The director himself did Barbarian a while ago. That was his other big movie. So he definitely uses time within stories.
Yeah.
Weapons has a lot of interesting things in it. Obviously, it's got witchcraft, but then the whole scene of Josh Brolin waking up and or in his dream, and then the gun over the house. There's so many theories about there, and the director straight up was just it is what you think it is.
Yeah. I know people had talked about it having to do with school shootings and everything like that.
Yeah. He did not confirm if it was like that or not. So
okay,
interesting. The thing I would want to call out would be the Stranger Things finale. It occurred on New Year's Eve. I watched it the next day, so New Year's Day. And I thought the finale was good. I think the episode before was very upset. Heavy spoiler alerts before we really get into it, if we really want to get into it. But I liked how it wrapped up. I thought it was really cool to have him play the last game of D&D in their basement and then kind of pass it on to the next generation. I thought that was really telling of really the start of the show itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then about the story of Elle still being alive and all that. What do you think?
I mean, I get why they put it in there. They didn't really show anything in particular to show that she was dead or alive, so they kind of wanted to keep fans happy. But to me, they took the safe route, especially with not killing anybody else. It just seemed like kind of a cop out, and they just wanted the money for their new show. So they didn't want to make anybody too mad so that they would come back and watch their new show. I wasn't a fan of that personally, but that's just me.
Yeah. What I read about it is it kind of made people choose which way you believe. If you believe that she is still alive or if you believe that she is dead. So you kind of choose your own ending. But I was I still think there's definitely a couple of people that could have just, died.
Yeah.
That would make the story a little bit more believable and all that. But I think it was a good way to wrap up all the characters anyways, after that. Because a lot of people are I will say the battle itself lasted 6 minutes in the shit.
So bad, dude.
And I was dude, come on. This is what it's been leading up to.
Yeah, it was a cool scene, but I don't know. Vecna was pretty much useless the whole time. The big monster on the outside lost to a bunch of teenagers. It was just everything was done so easily. It didn't feel like any effort or anything like that was put into place, which, I know they've been fighting this for 5 years or whatever, but it's just come on, man. We need to see some effort out of the enemy, I guess.
Yeah. Definitely not the best ending. I don't think it's Game of Thrones level bad, but I think it still isn't the best. I think there's definitely a lot of loopholes or plot holes, I guess you would say. But cool. So the movies that we decided to do this week were Akira and Spirited Away, two very big ass anime style films. Akira really being the film that kind of brought anime to the United States in a lot of ways, or kind of is known for. Spirited Away is kind of widely known as one of the best animation alone movies, and it won an Oscar, which really was big for anime as well, because before it, and still kind of is Pixar kind of dominates it, and Disney types. But so thought these were the two films to do this week. So if we wanted to start with Spirited Away,
yeah, we could do that.
Yep. Yeah, we'll start with Spirited Away for it. So Spirited Away is pretty much it's a kid's story, but also can have a lot of deeper meanings within it that you necessarily can look into, or you can just enjoy it itself without actually trying to look too far into it. When it follows this little girl and her family that go down this tunnel, and they say it's like, oh, it's like an abandoned town, and then it kind of leads to like her parents turn into pigs, and then she has to like kind of work her way out and try to get back to the real world and save her parents throughout this. But there's like a lot of like little like holes that she's got to jump through and get through a lot of stuff. And they also like they don't like humans right at the beginning, but then like there's like signs of like people caring about her throughout it as well. With that being said, I gave the plot a 7 out of 10. I feel like I understand like the beginning to end. I think there's just a lot of like small niche things there that I was personally very confused by. And I felt like I was pretty locked in watching this too, and I was still kind of confused. What do you think?
Yeah, I liked the plot. I gave it an 8. Definitely understand what you're saying. There's a lot of different things that kind of come up, and it makes it feel like the plot's kind of jumping around a lot. You walk in and there is a new character every couple 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and that typically can bring down a plot sometimes just with the jumping. But I thought that it was filmed in a way to create like mini stories, right? And tell mini themes throughout the movie, which was pretty cool. And I think that, like you said, it was definitely made for kids, with kind of like zany characters and wacky spirits coming up. But also there's some very deep themes involved in the film, which I'm sure we'll get into at the theme section.
Yeah. I think it was just very interesting that she finally got the job after fighting like the person that was in charge for a while. And then once she got it, like it kind of turned into like dream sequences. Like she was like leaving while everyone else was sleeping. And then like one day she wakes up and like all the people are gone and she's the only one. And then it turns into like the No Face character with like the gold. And then she's like the one that he like wants to get back to, but then but then he's all about gold. And then Haku is like a big character in it as well. That is like the first person that kind of like saves her. It's like the first like human like character that showed up, even though he looks like it at first. Like,
Yeah.
you learn later in the film that he's not. So I thought it was very, again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, this isn't my type of like style or like that, something that I usually go watch. So I think that also probably doesn't help me understand stuff, considering I just don't watch a lot of it. So like it probably just jumps around way too much for me, where like I get a little bit lost easier than somebody that does watch it a good amount. Cool. So I got into characters. I thought it was a 8 out of 10, mainly because, like we said, there was a lot of zany characters, but I thought they were really interesting. How they just kept like popping up with like different styles, animatedly, like how they looked, but also like character wise, how they were. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. All the characters had, their own distinct themes. They had their own distinct, I guess you could call it passions and what they wanted to do and complete. And I thought they were well done. Definitely a lot of them though, which can be a lot for some people. But I thought overall the characters were really good in this movie.
Yeah. Specifically Haku, I think was like the one that stood out to me the most as like a very deep character in a lot of ways. And then just like small things here and there where like she was scared of like the guy with a lot of arms. I don't even know if they gave him a name. If they did, I forget.
Yeah.
That was like putting up bowls and all that. She's scared at first, but then like he like puts a blanket on her and like helps her out throughout the whole thing, which is like kind of cool as well. Yeah. Cinematography, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I took this as like the animation.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool looking. Very different style than a lot of like what you see from Pixar or Disney movies, which is like mainly what I've watched.
I noticed too,
really
like
cool.
it was a very different style than like most animes and most anime movies as well. It didn't necessarily even remind me that much of like, say, Akira that we also watched this week. Like very different animation styles for both of them.
Yeah. Which like they had like 3D aspects, but it was also a lot of shadowing, it seemed like to me. While like Akira uses like, it seemed like more 2D and like more like bold kind of shadowing, while this one was more light, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, it does. And I think, we see that in the scene where the little girl is kind of like fading away. I thought that looked really good in the beginning because she has to like eat food from the spirit world to then like come back to being there. I thought that was pretty cool. And it was done well with a lot of the, almost translucent spirits.
Yeah, no, for sure. For dialogue, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought there was a lot of like good conversations that she was having. A lot of like, I mean, in the movie, she's like 10 years old. So like something that a 10-year-old would actually be saying. And it wasn't like trying to do unrealistic, like conversations from her. But overall, again, I think there was like certain parts of the movie where I was like a little bit lost. And I think the dialogue was definitely like a big part of that because I feel like it was like it would jump around for me to like understanding of like what the goal was. And then I'd be like, wait a second, like what just happened?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the dialogue, it was tough sometimes because obviously she's talking like a young girl, which they did a good job at doing, but then her mentors or people that worked above her would, be talking very deeply about big things going on, and it would kind of clash sometimes.
Hmm. No, definitely for sure. Acting, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I don't think there was like anything too crazy, like voice acting wise, for me to like really like harness on. I thought it was well done. I just don't think it was anything too crazy.
Yeah, it was
But yeah,
fine. I think everything was good, but nothing in particular.
yeah. Because whenever I think of like great voice acting performances, I think of like stuff like Invincible that I've seen like just insane voice acting performances, or you can just like feel like the zaniness of the characters themselves. And for this, like it reached top to that level for me personally.
Yeah.
For sound effects, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought the music was like actually very beautiful throughout it. Added like some cool like aspects. Obviously very Japanese style of like music styles as well, which was really like interesting for me as well.
Yeah, I think the soundtrack is one of the standouts for me in this. It's really beautiful done, especially with those cinematography style scenes that we were seeing. The big scenes with the Japanese style music coming over, it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. And then set design, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I took this as part of like the world itself that it was set in. And I thought that was really cool. And it's also interesting that it just straight up is like an original screenplay that comes from like Miyazaki's like mind that he just like kind of just developed all of these random things and this like 3D imagery of like what the characters, he like sat with all the animators and was like the go or no go guy.
Yeah,
He like approved every single one. There wasn't like anime, like, I don't know. I thought that was like really cool.
that is
What do you
neat.
think?
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's pretty neat that, he took it basically into his hands. And I mean, you can kind of tell that sometimes, like throughout the movie, like you said, he kind of just came up with it as his own original screenplay. So there is some like kind of outlandish things. You're like, where do you even like think of
Yeah.
something like this? But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's insane because like he's like probably like one of the more popular like directors for like these type of movies. He also came out with The Boy and the Heron, like that one, the animated feature a couple years ago at the Oscars as well. Which has a lot more like American voice actors than that one. So I think it's
Yeah.
also interesting that this one is almost all entire like Japanese like voice actors. While like now like his most recent movie is like heavy amounts of like, American voice actors, which I think is also interesting about him.
I think that's cool too, because it sees the respect for his career, right? Like all these big actors now want to be a part of his anything he's touching. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've seen a couple like big actors when they're where Letterboxd asked them for their 4 favorite films, and Spirited Away is on like a bunch of theirs, which is interesting. I think directing for me, I gave it 8 out of 10. We just talked about him as like a director itself, but like he pretty much created the story himself. So I thought that was really just, I don't know how somebody's mind works like that. Like all these different kind of things. I thought it was really cool.
One thing like I could say is just like, it's that childlike creativity, which is so awesome that he was able to hold on to that for so long. So many people lose it. But I think that's a big part of this movie too, is kind of a fear of growing up for her. She kind of automatically gets stuck into that, I'm a number now and I work for this company and go to my 9 to 5, go to sleep, do the same thing the
Yeah.
next day. So I think that has a big part of it to do with it as well. It's just kind of keeping that childlike creativity for both the director and the plot.
Yeah. Which like I really understood it up until like that point, until No Face shows up. And then like the whole scene of like releasing him, like all like the crap that was in him and then like giving out gold. That's where for me, I was like, okay, I'm a little lost at where we're going now with this.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, she was still pretty set on like trying to get back to her parents. But like there was like a lot of, like you said, the little mini stories that was kind of like taking away from like what the main plot was, which isn't like a bad thing.
Yeah. What
It's
I
just
took
interesting.
from No Face is like he was the example of getting consumed by capitalism and greed. And then, once he got out of that bathhouse, which was also a symbol for like a huge corporation company style thing, he
Yeah.
realized like there's more to life. And while looking at her, there's more to life than, just being greedy and being stuck in that nature. And that's why they became so close of friends, but also that's why he cared so much about her.
No, that's a good way to look at it. Editing, I gave it 8 out of 10. Again, it's like animation style of editing as well. So it's more like, which I thought was really interesting that he was like the last final say about like how characters actually looked. And then he also like designed the whole story his way. But he also originally, it says that the hour or his plot was supposed to go up to like 3.5 hours, 4 hours. So he cut out a lot,
Yeah.
almost like half of what he originally had written, which I think is a good thing. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I don't know many people that want to watch an animated style movie that goes that long just because I feel like people would get more and more lost as you go, even try to go more in depth. Like, I feel like if it was 4 hours long, the movie ends with like her meeting up with her parents. People would be like, wait a second. She was looking for her parents the whole time. I forgot about that. Because that literally was like the first 5 minutes and then that was it. Lastly, theme, 8 out of 10. For me, first it was like very surface level like themes, but then I'm reading more into it. I could definitely see how capitalism was like such a big theme, like post World War II Japan kind of style as well as like environmentalism. I also
Yeah.
read up like how that was a big like theme of what he was trying to go after. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. Especially the environmentalism with the Haku, being the kind of spirit of the river that was paved over,
Yeah.
but it's still like kept in touch with and remembered her. So that was a big thing too. But kind of like what you were touching on, just the westernization of Japan overall after World
Mm-hmm.
War II and kind of how that transformed them kind of away from their more spiritual level. And this is kind of bringing, the youth of Japan back into that, or trying to at least.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Overall, I gave it a 7.7 out of 10 or 77 out of 100. I enjoyed the movie, even though this is, hate to keep saying it, but like just not my style of stuff that I usually go after. Definitely out of my comfort zone. Watch these type of movies, probably missing some plot points as well, just because I won't be able to pick up on them as well as some other people that are really into like anime and can really like dive deep into it. But I overall enjoyed it. And yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 8.5 or 85. I've really enjoyed it. I think, it was really well done, animation wise, but also just the plot. I know, like you said, it kind of is some jumpy, definitely for sure. But there's some deep themes that I really picked up on and I really liked and enjoyed overall. Yeah. And then getting into Akira. So I've seen Akira before and we kind of pivoted to watching this one this week, which I was excited for. I've been nagging you about watching this one. I told you going in, it's definitely weird. And it's not just like about a biker gang like a lot of people think.
Yeah.
There's definitely some really deep themes into this. But starting off with the plot, obviously, it follows a biker gang in the beginning, Kaneda and his friend Tetsuo, and kind of like a Neo Tokyo after, a big explosion, which the first time I was watching, I was kind of led to believe it was like, the World War II nuke going off. But after watching, reading more about it, I figured out that it was actually an explosion that was going to start World War III, which was interesting. So Tetsuo kind of gains immense powers after being in a motorcycle crash and hitting a kid, Esper. And it triggered a huge military crackdown and kind of just the overall unleashing of Tetsuo's unstoppable powers. And they were related to the Akira bomb that went off in the beginning of the movie. That was the entity that actually destroyed it. And it wasn't a bomb. His powers just were kind of unleashed, and it forced Kaneda and the others to kind of try to stop Tetsuo to releasing, godlike powers, basically.
Yeah.
He got really powerful in the end there. Overall, I gave it an 8. It is a lot. It's a lot going on in a short amount of time. And kind of like we said with the last one, a lot of characters can definitely jump around a lot.
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoy the film. I think there's some really deep themes that we'll get into that I enjoyed.
Yeah. I told Justin right at the beginning of this that I kind of was lost like the entire movie. Like at some point I was just like, man, I have really no idea what's going on, but it looks really cool. And then like towards the end, I thought like I started understanding it, but then we talked about it and I was like, I don't think I understood it really at all. But yeah, so I think that was like my biggest hit on it was just like me not being able to understand most of like the beginning of the movie to where like if you don't begin like understand like the first 30 minutes, you probably are going to be lost like the whole rest of the movie. You're
Yeah.
going to be like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And then getting into characters, I gave it a 7. It definitely feels so crowded. And like, if you're
Yeah.
not locked in, like we kind of talked about, you're going to lose track of who these characters are, what their significance is. So definitely if you go into this, like sit down, lock your door, strap in, put your phone down, watch the movie.
Yeah.
Cause, it took me really till my second watch, this week to really start to understand what some of the different characters meant. Cause there's a lot of side characters in this for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. What I noticed with both of these movies, even though they're very like aesthetically and I think supposed to be very different, one I think is more adult like. I think
Mhm.
Akira is more meant for adults, while like Spirited Away is more meant for like kids with like deeper themes. Is that they like almost like every 5 minutes, it's like a brand new, like kind of like not big character, I would say,
Mhm.
where like they actually matter to the story, which most other animated movies, especially westernized like anime movies, they don't do that. They don't introduce like new characters like that frequently. So I thought that was a very interesting, different types of style to add to the plot as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then getting into cinematography, I gave this a 10. I thought this movie looked amazing. The director, he was kind of celebrated for making the gap between traditional animation and live action film techniques in this movie kind of merged together. And I thought it was really good with like, just its technical complexity and meticulous approach to like lighting and scale in the movie. We kind of talked about before this, like, if you told me Spirited Away and Akira came out in the same year, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
And Akira just happened to come out 12 years before or something. That's pretty nuts. And this is really well done for that time period.
Yeah. It looked amazing. Like it was super cool. Even if I didn't understand what was going on, like it still like was aesthetically very pleasing to me. And I also think where like the darker shadows and the bolder of the characters with like the bright lights as well, I thought was really cool because it starts off super dark as you're going throughout the story. Like there's certain parts that are super dark and then some very light that I thought was really cool to see as well with the contrast.
Yeah. And I know like the beginning bike chase scene is definitely there to just get like the viewer interested. But
Yeah.
damn, if it doesn't look amazing, like seeing Neo Tokyo like that was really cool.
Yeah. No, the movie definitely starts off at like a 10. So it's like, again, it's like one of those movies you have to be locked in right away because
Yeah.
you're just like, you're like put right into like, there's no like a setup that's like going to be
Yeah.
like handing you it on a silver platter kind of thing. It's like, oh
Yeah.
no.
Your setup is the 10-second explosion you see in
Yeah.
old Tokyo. And
Yeah.
then that's it.
Yeah. You're like, okay.
Getting into dialogue, I also gave it a 10 for this movie. I thought it was really well done, especially comparing it to Spirited Away. I know the downfall of that was kind of like having a child, talk
Hmm.
to a lot of these grown-ups, which made it tough. But the dialogue in Akira was amazing. My favorite line was, the future is not a straight line. It's filled with many crossroads, and there must be a future that we can choose for ourselves. That was by Kyoko. I thought that
Yeah.
was really cool. Obviously really deep, talking about them and the story, but also, definitely hinting towards like post World War II Japan and kind of what direction they're going to go into after that.
Yeah. I definitely saw a huge connection of like post World War II Japan and this movie. Again, the westernization, how there's like two similar themes and like two way different types of movies
Yeah.
that were going after very like effective like ways of like how Japan was westernized after World War II.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is, I think Akira is a symbol for the bomb that was dropped in World War II on Japan.
Hmm.
And, them kind of keeping their past locked away as a country rather than, accepting that it did happen, Japan during World War II and kind of moving on from it. This movie kind of tries to show them locking it away and ignoring it. And that's, harming their citizens and harming the country as a whole.
Yeah. And it definitely goes into like how corrupt anti-government and all that and
Yeah.
trying to fight against like the people in charge kind of thing. It is like those are the enemies at the end of the day because they're the one that is controlling each of them and kind of making those gangs fight. Because like you have different gangs throughout like the movie that are kind of like also side enemies, but at the end of the day, I feel like the main enemy was the government itself.
Yeah, very much so. For set design, I gave it a 9. Looking back, I don't know
Yeah.
why I did that. Neo Tokyo looked so good, dude. And the
Yeah.
depth in the city looked so good. I remember watching it for the first time because a friend recommended it to me, and immediately I was hooked just by the animation design, and this looked amazing.
No, like Neo Tokyo to start off was really cool to look at. Maybe that was why I was so lost because I was just like taking in how everything looked.
Yeah.
Thought it was very just a different, especially for me, like any other type of animation style that I've looked at or like kind of set designs. So I thought that was really
Yeah, one thing too, obviously like the big battle at the end and just seeing everything getting destroyed. I thought it was so well animated too. Animation in general. I know that's kind of the topic this week. It's just nuts how they can sit there and draw this and somehow bring it to life. It's pretty cool to see, and it's always fascinated me.
yeah.
Getting into acting. Yeah, go ahead.
I just think that's something to call out with like the setting design and like probably cinematography as well. It's just like how important this movie was setting up like big franchises that we know, like Pokemon, Dragon Ball, Naruto. And like you could
Yeah.
see it in this movie. And like I grew up watching Pokemon. I didn't really watch Dragon Ball, but I know what it looks like. And I also know what Naruto looks like. But like, it's just, you could see it blatantly that like those were very just taken out of like this movie as well.
Yeah.
Like the styles.
Yeah, with anime, but you think even outside of non-anime, like I imagine Blade Runner, 2049, Cyberpunk. I imagine those had a huge influence with how the city looked as well, in this movie.
Yeah.
And then getting into acting, I gave it an 8. I watched the dub version, so all I can really do is talk about the American voice actors. I think they were good. They were pretty expressive for the most part. I think about like the general. He was very expressive when he was yelling, and then when he was talking quietly, I thought that was really good too. It's always interesting to talk about acting when we do an animated movie, just because you almost are just rating voices instead of the actors themselves, which is cool because we get to see how much they can do with their voice.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I know. I really liked the voice acting in this. I also watched the dub version. For me, it was like I could read over a movie, like read subtitles for a whole movie, but just for this one specifically, I think to take in everything, it would have been a lot to read and try to look up at the same time. So maybe next time I'll try to do the subtitles if I rewatch this.
Yeah, some big anime fans will call us sinners for watching it in dub, but I typically do the first time through to really understand what's going on, and then the second time for this movie, I was like, I still got to try to understand what's going on, and then maybe I'll try something next time. But
exactly.
For directing, I gave it a 9. I'm gonna butcher this. Katsuhiro Adamoto is the director, and I thought it was really cool. He was a manga artist first, and then became an animator, which led to him then directing this movie, which I think is why this movie looks so great, right? Like he has such a background and doing the art of this movie. And, I talked about how the story is a little jumpy, but overall was prized with bringing anime to America. So I think we can only do so much for the directing. Pretty amazing feat. And to see how big anime is in America nowadays is pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah. And he was like one of the big ones to like bring it over. So it was, just recognize that.
And then soundtracks, I gave it a 9. I thought the sound design and the score were great, just to portray, plot points when needed. My favorite sound, though, is when Tetsuo's head starts going nuts and the bell rings. I think it's so funny. Yeah. Just because I've seen so many memes of it over the years of like when it rings and then something pops up and he's like, get out of my head. But yeah, the sound design was good overall.
Yeah. I thought it was like, again, very similar to Spirited Away, where I thought it was really cool, like the different aspects of sound that they brought into this that I usually don't see in any other type of animation kind of movie. So I thought that was really cool.
And then getting into theme, buckle up, buddy. Some very interesting themes that carry over, I think, a lot into future anime as well, like we've seen with Spirited Away. Kind of just the dangers of unchecked powers, a big one that I picked up on. 1 with the government, 2 with street gangs, 3 with people with actual psychological powers. Yeah. And then government corruption, testing on civilians and stuff like that. Societal decay, and just set up against this post-apocalyptic world, and delving into the youth and rebellion and the technology and how that carries on in civilization, and obviously post-war trauma is kind of like we talked about with World War II. Um, it was pretty nuts. There was a lot going on in this, especially between the different characters, but some very deep themes. Definitely an adult film compared to Spirited Away.
Yeah. Yeah, very adult like, where the other one was like very subtle themes that you had to like really look into. This one was like straight up giving the themes right out to you. Like they were just like, yeah, like this is abuse of power. What's the biggest one for me? It was just how people can abuse ones just because they have more at their will, pretty much. So yeah.
Yeah. One thing I kind of read about getting into the abuse of power is, obviously how the Akira explosion kind of started World War III in this world, and the government obviously covering it up, but also supposedly they basically told the world, hey, somebody bombed us and now we're coming after, which would start World War III and send in this huge military campaign and all that. Instead of, taking accountability for their actions, they kind of, turn it over to the citizens and make them go fight their battles for them that they didn't want to just handle themselves, which is obviously a huge unchecked power of government and overall corruption.
Yeah. Just, yeah, hugely corrupt and like not taking accountability.
Yeah, that's the big points. Editing, I gave it a 9. Obviously, pretty revolutionary for its time. Like we've brought up multiple times already, this kind of brought anime to America. I think Americans finally like looked at it with this movie and said, "Oh, this can be for adults. It doesn't just have to be cartoons for kids, and it
Yeah.
can be pretty crazy." I mean, there was even like nudity in this, which is different for animation, and I think adults realized, oh, we can have this here as well.
Yeah.
So just everything from the hand-drawn animation to the dialogue precision and the storyboarding, I thought the editing was pretty great.
No, I agree. I thought it was really well done. I mean, editing and cinematography when it comes to animated films go very hand in hand, because a lot of it just happens at, like in the workroom, pretty much thing. It's not something that you necessarily have to cut. You really just have to make those tough decisions of like what you want to include, what they're going to look like, how do you actually want to like demonstrate how it all looks like as a whole.
Exactly. So overall for Akira, I gave it a 8.8 out of 10, or 88. My second time watching, I really enjoyed it. Definitely going to have to go try it out in sub. Still one of my favorite animation movies to date.
I gave it a 7.9 out of 10 or 79 out of 100. My biggest hit on it was just like, I just really didn't understand it that well, which means I think in the future, if I watch it again, like the more times I watch it, probably the more I'll like it because the more I'll understand it. Because I really liked like the other categories of just like how it looked and like how revolutionary it is. And even like the themes itself, even if I didn't understand necessarily like all the plot points of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely going into it the second time, I definitely picked up on a lot more. That made it more interesting because I remember the first time, like you said, I felt I had to rewind a couple times first time watching to kind of wait, why did this happen?
Yeah.
Who's that? Yeah. So going back the second time, it's just definitely easier to pick up on a lot more than I saw the first time. And it was pretty cool to do that.
Yeah. I'm just reading something that like a bunch of films have like specifically called out Akira for like being influence on them. It's like films like The Matrix, Kill Bill, Dark Knight, Inception, Pacific Rim, Godzilla, obviously, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, and then even the show that I talked about at the beginning, Stranger Things, even called it as an influence.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to hear. I mean, that's pretty high praise.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting to just point out how influential like both of these movies are.
Yeah.
That we did this week.
Cool.
Awesome. So yeah, those were the two big films that we did this week. And since I personally have not watched many anime style films, instead we didn't feel comfortable doing an anime draft. So instead we're going to just do an overall animation style draft, really including like all the big companies. So Disney. So the categories are going to be Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, Sony, Illumination, and then the Oscar winners, since the animated feature like award came out in 2000 was the first year. So there's only 24 right now. And then wild card and then nostalgic. And nostalgic is like really just a personal like one. Something that you watch like and you just remind you of like your childhood. Even if you like can own up to it not being probably like one of the best style films, it just means a lot to like us personally.
Yeah. Let's spin the wheel.
See, now I'm on a roll. So I get the first pick, and then
All right,
Justin
all
gets
right.
the second pick.
I don't like the second pick here. There's a lot of options, so I think we'll really get to fully, a lot of times in these drafts, stuff will get taken from us, but in this, I think we'll fully get to pick everything that we actually want.
Yeah. So what do you think about like allowing, let's say, because a lot of these are going to be like series or like trilogies or what's the right word I'm looking for? Like a bunch
Yeah,
of different types of movies.
yeah, like a
Um,
franchise. You don't have to. Yeah, don't take the same franchise.
okay. Yeah. That's what I thought too. Just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page about that because there's so many to pick from.
Now that's different too. All right, if we get there, I'll bring it up. But there's one where I'm like, it's kind of a spin-off of a franchise. Doesn't
We
have to
will.
do with. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Okay.
My first overall pick is Sony, and it's going to be
Yeah.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah, I love Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Pretty sure we saw both together,
Yeah.
if I'm not
That's weird. I
mistaken.
think we did.
Yeah, but I really like both of them. It was cool to like, because Marvel's had done shows before. They still do with like X-Men and all that, but they never really did like a movie type of anime before. I think Batman did for like DC a while back, but that was like TV releases, not like major productions. And this one is so interesting. And then like the different worlds of like different types of Spider-Man brought into it. I mean, it won its first year. I think it lost its second year. Like it's the second one lost.
Yeah, it lost to
Oscar.
Boy in the Hair. And yeah.
I just really like it. The voice acting is phenomenal in them, but the music is phenomenal. Like I listened to the whole soundtrack for probably like 4 months afterwards, and people still listen to that kind of music. The soundtrack is just amazing on it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cool. I'm already tilting on the Sony one just because we didn't make up the idea to,
yeah,
get no franchises beforehand, but I've got one that I don't think you have seen, so I'm just going to wait on that. So let me see here. I think I'm going to grab my big one off of Pixar. No, I'm not. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to take, dang, yeah, there's so many options. I'm sorry. I'm going to take The Lion King for Disney.
that's a good one.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies, obviously a classic, and obviously at the time, such great animation. I think this would have been up for an Oscar. I think it came out before Animated Picture was at the Oscars, right?
Yeah, it came out before it was an award.
I think it definitely would have won.
Yeah,
And yeah, just beautiful movie overall.
yeah. This is like one of those films that everyone probably watches as a kid at some point, and it's just very remembering. Dude, I love Lion King. It's like one of, I think, 5 or 6, no, probably 5-star like animated films that I have. So
okay,
yeah, pick. Yeah, I really like it.
Now,
and like
go ahead.
And the music of it is like very memorable too.
So good.
I know the Lion King 2 isn't like all that memorable, but like the sequel. But then they did a live action too for it. So
I actually really love the live action one, partially because my dog loves watching it. She'll kind of sit in my bed and watch it with me on the TV. She is so fascinated with like the animals that she sees on the TV and she'll be barking at them. So that's pretty cool to watch.
That also has a crazy voice acting cast.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's insane.
So for Illumination, this is probably going to seem early, and that's okay. I'm going to take the Super Mario Brothers movie. I think I was extremely worried when they were going into this. Obviously, we saw the catastrophe that was the Sonic trailer a couple years prior and how bad Sonic looked. So when they announced the Super Mario movie, I was like, they could really do this animation very bad. And I think it looked perfect. Looks just like the games. They didn't try to do too much. It was very well done. And I'm excited, honestly, to see the Super Mario Galaxy one because I played that all the time on the Wii growing up. The animation is really well done in it.
No, I agree. Yeah, I like Super Mario a good amount. That's crazy that you said that about Sonic because I thought like the animation of Sonic was really well done. I think
it was.
The original one was really bad.
When they made the trailer for the first movie, it was like so horrendously bad. Even there's a Disney movie, it's like a Chip and Dale movie. They make fun of the Sonic from the trailer in the movie. It's like a super meta reference. It's like Ugly Sonic is in the Chip and Dale movie. It's hilarious.
Yeah. No, yeah. That first one was horrible, but thankfully they fixed it. But yeah, Super Mario Bros. I really liked it. The new one comes out like this next year, right? Or this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be 26.
I know a lot of people saw Chris Pratt too under it, and they were like, "God."
Yeah. He's
I don't know
good.
when. Yeah, I don't know when Hollywood just turned on Chris Pratt, but almost everything that has Chris Pratt in it now, everyone's like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
Just
Well,
because,
I found out he does a lot of advertisements in Korea. So a lot of Koreans come here and they just expect him to be like the A-list actor, like The Rock, or like, but he just does so many Korean ads for some reason.
interesting. He what? Because like Guardians movies, they love him. I think it was the Jurassic movies that really ruined stuff for
Yeah.
him. That people really started not liking him in, and then Passengers hit him and Jennifer Lawrence. People really didn't like that movie.
Yeah.
But I thought he was really good at that one, and then of course Jack Black as Bowser was really iconic as well.
And then Benny Safdie's playing Bowser Jr.
Really,
in the next one. Yeah.
Benny Safdie's playing that, and then he's going to be in the Odyssey as like the
Yeah.
main villain. Like that's insane.
Yeah. I saw a tweet with him from the
And he's
Odyssey
a director,
trailer and
yeah.
then Bowser Jr. They're like same person, by the way.
Yeah, that's insane. Are they gonna bring Waluigi into this one too? Like,
I'm sure they will at some point.
know.
Kind of like Sonic did.
Yeah.
They brought in a lot of the side Sonic characters, which is cool. I'm sure they will. And I'm sure they'll end up doing a Mario and Sonic movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Or like a Super Mario, what's it called when like they all battle like
Smash
for one
Bros.
game? Yeah, dude, if they bring like a Smash Bros movie too, that'd be funny.
That would kill the box office, dude. People would love it.
Yeah, dude. I don't know anybody that didn't play that as a kid.
Yeah.
Awesome.
People still play it. It's huge.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, I feel like from this point on, it's really just what we personally
you like. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go with DreamWorks. Man, dude, I like two of them. But I'll go DreamWorks and one of the OGs, I guess. Not really because it's a sequel, but Shrek 2.
Okay.
I think Shrek 2 is the best Shrek.
Interesting.
My Foot is in that one, gets introduced. I just really like the whole like, and then they're like going to, I think it's like, man, I haven't watched it in a while, but they go to Hollywood, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they,
Now,
but
that's what I was going to ask you. If I wanted to take Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, could I do that, or is that franchise?
I don't think that's franchise because I think Puss in Boots is its own. Because Puss in Boots,
Yeah.
has its own, even though it is directly off of Shrek. But I do think, I thought that's what you were wondering because I don't think really anything else applies. But yeah, I really like Shrek 2. Shrek itself is like a very like nostalgic movie, I think, for us as well.
Yeah.
I feel like it came out in a time for us as kids where it was just like very apparent. I think it's won 2 Oscars, maybe just one. I know the first one won. I think the second one did too. It's just insane. Like the animation is really well done, and it's also like made for kids. And at the same time, if we watch it as an adult, there are so many references that you would only understand as an adult.
Yep, that really funny.
And I think it really started that. Yeah, and I think that really started off like a lot of animation movies kind of do that thing. And I think that Shrek was like one of the first ones to really start doing that, like referencing like kind of like meta humor, like that kids would not even be able to pick up on until you start a certain age.
Yeah, you have to feel like Seth Meyers and Eddie Murphy had something to do with that. They both can have some very raunchy comedy, and so they had to be a part in working in that dialogue, like hiding references, adult references into the movie.
Okay, so for my next one, I'm gonna go into Oscar winner, and I'm gonna choose The Incredibles.
Okay. Yeah.
I love The Incredibles. It's like one of my 4, also 5-star. I could have taken this in nostalgic, Pixar, or Oscar, and it would have like all applied because for me it's very nostalgic as well. Also really cool to like look back at, and it's like a superhero movie that isn't like any big actual like comic book superheroes or anything like that. It was like this own original Pixar story. Frozone, Samuel Jackson as Frozone kind of steals the show as well when he comes in. Like the whole story itself is really iconic. I think the second one is good, but like the first one is just out of this park good for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I enjoyed The Incredibles too. And, it took them a while for the sequel, but the sequel was pretty good.
Yeah. And I think they're announcing that they want to come out with a third one. So kind of sucks. Once they get to a certain kind of movies, always like a certain opinions about franchises that start just producing a lot of different kind of movies, but I love the first one.
Yeah, speaking of Toy Story for Pixar,
Yeah.
should have ended it after 3 movies. It was a great trilogy, and that is my Toy Story. That's what I know as Toy Story. Specifically, I'm going to take the first one. This is so nostalgic for me. I kind of grew up with Toy Story, had a Buzz Lightyear room. Woody was the man. Such a great story, so well animated. Obviously, it was kind of revolutionary for Pixar at the time when this came out and kind of sent them skyrocketing as a company. But yeah, just a great overall. Well done.
Yeah. I don't even know if this is a hot take because I think everyone has their different opinions about the Toy Story movies, but I think Toy Story 3 is my favorite one and best one.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I really like Toy Story 3. I think the Lotso Bear is like a really good villain. And then, yeah, I just think Buzz is like also really funny in this one. I like Pixar 4 as far as like how it looks. And I don't think, or like I like Toy Story 4 how it looks. I think I don't know. The story itself, I'm just like, they could have just done without, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, you can't blame them. They're going to make $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to make a 5th one again this year. So it's like, all right,
Exactly.
here we are.
So with my next one, give me DreamWorks left.
DreamWorks, you have Sony.
I'll take How to Train Your Dragon with DreamWorks.
I have not seen this.
What? Like at all?
Nope. It's on my list, this watch this week to like watch them all, but then I just never got to it.
Dang. Dude, How to Train Your Dragon's like really good. The animation's good, the story's good. Obviously, it's the same way with all these franchises. You know, they're easier to make day by day, and you know they just make $1 billion, so they're going to keep making them because it brings families into the movie theater.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first one's a really great story. I love it. I think I definitely recommend it for you.
It's definitely like up on my like watch list because I've heard just really good things about it.
Yeah.
So for mine, I still got Disney, Pixar, and Illumination left. I feel like I just got to go with like my other 5-star one. Actually, yeah, I'll go with that one. Yeah. So for my Pixar, I'm going to go with Cars, the first one. I really like Cars. I even like the third one a lot too. The second one is kind of not good, but the first one, I really like Cars. Super nostalgic movie. I could have taken it there. It would have been completely justified. But I also even like this movie more and more because like my nephews, they love this movie. Every time they want to come over to my grandparents' house, they always put it on. They always want to watch Cars. So it's really cool to like always watch it with them too.
Yeah.
Because this was like the first movie that I really loved too. Yeah, I just love Cars.
That's
cool.
So well done. I like Cars too. It is really well done. It is funny though. I don't know if I've ever told you about this. Like Cars 1, the villain's just like the green car. Yeah. Cars 3, the villain's just like the young hotshot car. And then Cars 2, it's like a international terrorist organization trying to like blow up the Queen of England. It's like, what the hell happened?
Yeah. It went from like 2 racing. I think that's why the second one, like it's like very low.
I love it. It's James Bond and Cars together. It's so cool.
I also don't like it because Lightning McQueen isn't like a main part of the film. Yeah. Compared to like the first and third, which I thought was like Cars is about Lightning McQueen and his life. Not like Mater's a great side character. He should not. I think that's my biggest hit on Cars 2 as well. It's like they turned Lightning McQueen into like the side character where it's like, dude.
It felt like, do you remember those like animated shorts that they would put on Disney Channel about Mater? It felt like they took a bunch of those and combined them together for a Cars movie, which that could have been its own thing. But yeah.
Like if they would have like labeled it not Cars and like something else, it would have been
like Tow Mater's movie.
Yeah, it would have made way more sense.
Yeah.
But did not feel like a Cars movie at all because it's an international terrorist organization.
Trying to kill the Queen of England and destroy the racing.
I think for my next one, I just gotta go with nostalgic, and I'm gonna go with Finding Nemo.
Yeah,
I love Finding Nemo. One. Another one we just grew up with. It's another one of my 5-star ones. So I got 4 out of my 5-star ones. So like I'm pretty happy with my team already. Like for my personal list, but Finding Nemo's just so incredibly done well that I can tell you pretty much everything that happens because of how many times I watched it growing up.
Yeah, I love Finding Nemo. It's pretty great. I wasn't the biggest fan of Finding Dory, but I've always enjoyed going back and watching Finding Nemo.
You know, it's crazy that I haven't seen Finding Dory, even though I really love Finding Nemo.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like I need to. Another thing to add on the on the list.
All right, where do I go here? So I'm gonna take my wild card and take my probably my favorite Pixar movie and Ratatouille. I love this movie. I've always loved cooking. I was in chef's club in middle school, so this movie always had a huge influence on me. I think it's really well done. And something I said last week when we were watching Knives Out is that Josh O'Connor looks like Linguini from Ratatouille. And I told that to Madison, and I guess it came out this week that he was like talking about, he's like, the Pixar said they're not making a live action Ratatouille. And everybody just kept tagging him in the comments. And he was like, I don't want it. Like, I never asked for this. So that's
He
what
does look like him.
made me think of it. But he does look just like him. But obviously, great movie. My favorite Pixar movie. I think it's really beautifully done. With my next one, I think, yeah, I'm going to take Oscar winner and I'm going to take Spirited Away. I really enjoyed this movie. We obviously talked about it a lot, but pretty amazing that it won an Oscar, especially the second year the animated feature came to the Oscars.
Yeah,
So,
it kind of
yeah.
like made it. It was. I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but it was pretty big that it won an Oscar that year. Looking back at the year, it makes sense. Everything else that was there, I don't really see why they would win it over. There was a lot of like contentious years for the Oscar that I don't really all that. Here we are. We'll see this year. So Illuminations left, Disney. I really kept both of them off because you took Illumination early, and then Disney. There's just so many where I was like,
Yeah,
it's like
could wait.
yeah, and then
There's some
got my
good ones
wild
for
card.
Illumination left.
Yeah. Just going through my list right now. I think I may just keep that till then. Illumination for Disney. I think I'm just gonna go with The Jungle Book.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I really like The Jungle Book. I also think the live action one was one of the better done ones.
Yeah, it's also great.
Yeah, I really like just The Jungle Book. Another nostalgic one that I grew up with. For me, like I had a bunch of very ranked similarly. I was choosing between Moana, Mulan, Brother Bear, and Winnie the Pooh, and Lady the Tramp. Like any of those, I would have been like fine with for Disney. For me, I think the Jungle Book is a little bit more like unique out of all of them. I don't know, even though they're all very unique, but
Yeah,
I also remember it the most. So
yeah,
cool.
no, all
And
those are
then,
great.
yeah, which makes me want to pick another one for like wild card. But what I think I'm actually gonna go with. Yeah, I think what I'm going to go with for wild card is a Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Dang, yeah, that's a good one. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know. I know it's like animation. It didn't even
Yeah.
click in my head because we were thinking about so many of these big companies.
Yeah. I mean, we did this on the podcast once, but it's so good. And it's very unique
Dang,
because again, it's not with one of these big companies. So
Yeah,
I think it's also unique.
I'm actually mad I forgot that.
I was surprised. I thought that was going to be one of your top picks.
It would have been. I just missed me.
All it would have really counted for too is wild card because it doesn't fit really any other thing else.
Yeah, that's true. So for Sony, I saved this because you were done with the category and this movie wasn't getting picked. It's called The Mitchells versus the Machines. It was on Netflix a couple years ago, I believe. I really enjoyed it. Have you seen it?
No, never heard of it.
It's an interesting animation style. It's kind of comic booky. It reminds me of like Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs too at the same time. It was pretty well done. It's a fun story, kind of like a story about a family. They're fighting against robots. They've taken over the world. It's pretty cool. It's pretty well done. I believe it's a pretty short movie too. It's just like a fun watch, you know?
Yeah.
And then for my nostalgic movie, this one means a lot to me. My grandmother, who passed away a few years ago, used to always turn this on for me when I would come over to her house. It's the Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've never seen it.
It's really fun. It's about like house appliances, but they're alive. And so they're doing all this stuff and they're living with this family. You don't really interact with the humans. It's just kind of the house appliances that are alive and talking. And then in this movie, they go to Mars. I think that was a given already, but
yeah,
it's pretty good. And it's just really nostalgic to me. I always think about, going to grandma's early in the morning and turning that on and watching it on the couch.
Dude, I've probably definitely seen this. I just don't remember seeing it. But like now looking at the main image, I feel like I've definitely seen this.
Yeah, it's cool. I turn it on every now and then just to get that nostalgia come over me.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, I got Illumination left. It's the only one I got left. Yeah, for me, I think I'm just gonna have to go with the Despicable Me.
Yeah, I had to take it,
Um,
right? It was between that and obviously Super Mario, that and the Grinch for me.
Yeah. See, like when we talked about Christmas, a Grinch wasn't like as big a hit for me. I still liked it, but it wasn't like as
Yeah.
the same level as the other ones. But yeah, Despicable Me, Super Mario Bros, and even the Lorax I thought was really well done too
Yeah.
from them. I heard there's a rumor that like Illumination's going away. That's like getting
Really?
integrated into something. I would have to look more into that, but it's definitely interesting. I feel like we picked 8 movies each, and I still feel like we didn't even do animation like justice with this draft. But
There's so many like good franchises, and it's
yeah,
weird not to see an animated movie in theaters at all times, right? Like right now, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
like Zootopia was like probably the biggest one that's 2025 that came out.
Yeah.
We'll see with this year. It seems like this next year there's a lot of like sequels coming out, so I'm interested to see. They're probably going to do good at the box office, but like how well they are actually received,
Yeah.
like critically.
My one problem with it is like we're on Despicable Me 5, probably on How to Train Your Dragon 5, Toy Story 5. I wish we'd take more chances and do new stories in animation style. Obviously, it kind of been a long time coming for a Super Mario movie, but that was fun. That was fresh. That was new.
Yeah,
You know, we hadn't seen Super Mario, at least for me, since I was a kid, and it was fun to get back into that. So
yeah.
let's try some new things, animators. Let's get out there. Let's be
Well, I think
brave.
Pixar has still been like you
Yeah.
think about Turning Red, Elemental. That Elemental was kind of a flop though.
Yeah.
Elio, Luca, Soul, Coco.
Soul was amazing.
Yeah, Soul. I heard Soul and Coco were amazing. So like they're definitely still starting, like still trying. I feel like, but like since he's sequel again just makes so much money, I feel like it's just hard for them to want to, really
Yeah,
stick to
my
it.
issue with that is like you're gonna fail some, and those movies that you mentioned all came out around 2019, 2020, 2021,
Yeah,
and ever since like D23 Expo, all they've announced is sequels to new like sequel animated movies. None of them have been like
Yeah.
original, which I don't want them to get away from.
yeah, because you also have the Bad Guys that they just came out with their first sequel of that one. But that was another one that was pretty well received from DreamWorks.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard good things.
Dang, we didn't even draft Zootopia.
I thought about like it was up there for me for Disney, but
Yeah.
there's a lot more. The ones that we picked were a little older, but I feel like just more part of our life than Zootopia.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Inside Out, and I didn't even draft it. Like Inside Out was one of my favorite too.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I went to the premiere date of Inside Out 2 with a shirt of Inside Out. That's how much I like it, and I didn't even draft it. But cool. We'll say our teams real quick. So my team for Disney is The Jungle Book. For Pixar is Cars. DreamWorks is Shrek 2. Sony, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Illumination, Despicable Me. Oscar winner, The Incredibles. Wild Card, Fantastic Mr. Fox. And Nostalgic, Finding Nemo.
Yeah. For Disney, I took The Lion King. For Pixar, I took Toy Story. DreamWorks, I took How to Train Your Dragon. Sony, I took The Mitchells versus the Machines. Illumination, I took Super Mario. Oscar winner, I took Spirited Away. Wild Card, I took Ratatouille. And Nostalgic, I took The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars.
Well, this was definitely a fun week. I personally got out of my comfort zone a lot with these 2 films. So yeah, next week we are doing Al Pacino. So quite a change up from 2 weeks, but awesome. Well, thank you for listening.
Awesome. See you guys.